Today we're going to make a grocery bag holder. This is a super simple project. So for this project you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric. You're going to need one that is 18 inches tall by 20 inches wide. And then you're also going to need a piece that is 2 inches tall by 8 inches wide. So I'm going to take my fat quarter of fabric and I'm going to cut off 2 inches off of one side, so that'll give me the 18-inch by 20-inch piece, and then it'll give me a 2-inch strip that I can cut down for my 8-inch piece for my hanging loop. If you have directional fabric, make sure that it's facing the right direction and that the 20 inches is going up and down for your direction. This one's a non-directional print, so it didn't really matter. So I'm going to cut this little 2-inch strip that I cut off to 8 inches, and that's going to be our little hanger for our bag holder. You'll also need 2 pieces of elastic that are 8 or 9 inches long, and it can be any size elastic from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch wide. Then give your fabric a good press. Make sure there's no wrinkles. And then on the 18-inch sides, you're going to fold it down 1/4 inch and press all the way across. You're going to repeat this process on both sides on the 18-inch side. So you're going to fold your fabric down 1/4 inch and give it a good press. And then you're going to fold it down again just a little bit wider than whatever size elastic you're using. So you want it to overhang the elastic just a little bit so that when you sew this close to that folded edge, your elastic should be able to slide through it. So just check your elastic against your fold and make sure it's a little bit bigger than your elastic and press it down. And you can pin or clip these edges if you want to when you take it to your machine. It's such a short distance, I didn't really do that. Now you're going to take your hanger piece and you're going to fold it in half lengthwise, make a crease, and then fold the 2 raw edges to the inside of that crease and press it again. Now we're going to sew right along the edge of the folded down casing, making sure that our elastic will fit through there. It should just slide right through, so you want to sew right along the edge of that fold. Be sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end to lock in your stitches and repeat on the other end. And now we're going to take our handle, which is folded in 4ths, and we're going to sew right along the edge at an 1/8 inch seam allowance on both long edges of the handle. And then you're just going to set that aside. Now we're going to take our elastic and we're going to put a safety pin in the end of our elastic. If you use a big safety pin, this makes it a little bit easier. It just needs to be able to fit through your casing. So put it in the end of your elastic and you're going to feed your elastic into the casing, being very careful not to pull it and pull the other end into the casing. So when you get close, you want to pull it in and then pin it so it doesn't move. If you do pull it in, it's okay. You can just move your safety pin all the way through, pull your elastic out, and start over. But you're going to feed your safety pin through that casing to pull your elastic through. And when it comes out the other end, you're going to put another pin in it to hold it in there. And I like to give it a good tug. That just makes all the little gathers nice and even all the way across. So I always give it a good stretch at the end. All right, take out your safety pin and repeat it on the other side. Okay, once you have the elastic in, you're going to fold it, the whole thing in half, matching up the 2 ends of the elastic and the side seam, and clip or pin it together. But when you get to one end, take your handle, fold it in half, and trim off any threads if you have any. And you're going to take the loop side towards the inside of your fabric, towards the right side. And you're going to line that right up there with your elastic and let the ends overhang just a little bit so that you will be sure that you catch them in that seam. And then pin or clip that together. So the loop end of your handle is going to go on the inside towards the right side of your fabric. And then you're going to sew that whole long side seam at a 1/2 or 1/4 inch seam allowance. It doesn't really matter. This doesn't have to be super perfect. Now you can finish this raw edge if you want to. I'm not going to. It's just going to hold grocery bags, but you could run it through your serger or zigzag it if you wanted to. Be sure to trim off any spare little threads sticking out. I like to burn the end of my elastic so that it doesn't unravel. You just run it through the flame really quick so that it melts down the polyester fibers. And then I like to take my hanging loop and fold it over to one side and stitch that seam allowance down. That just gives it a little bit more security so that it doesn't pull out of the seam, or if it gets too heavy, it's not going to rip or anything. So I just fold the seam allowance over and I just give a little stitch back and forth over that little end of the handle there. And then you're done. Super simple project that can be made out of a fat quarter of fabric. You could make it to match your home decor. We have ours hanging in our pantry, so I just took it and stuffed all of the grocery bags I had in there and hung it up in my pantry. And now they're not all over the floor or in my crock pot like they used to be. Hope you enjoyed.